Hi, everyone, and welcome to the race's first ever virtual elite athlete panel. During these unprecedented times, the race has remained committed to delivering the most amazing virtual experience possible. And I have no doubt that today's panel will exemplify that. We have six absolutely amazing athletes joining us for today's conversation, which we have titled, We Are All Runners. And we look forward to hearing from each of them. I will briefly introduce each athlete, and then I will turn the spotlight on them as we begin today's discussion. First up, we have Obsie. She is a 5-time NAIA champion, an 18-time All-American, and earlier this year, she participated in the 2020 U.S. Olympic Trials Marathon after qualifying with a 2-hour, 35-minute, 51-second finish at the Twin Cities Marathon. She was born and raised in Ethiopia before moving to the U.S. at age 12. She is an academic advisor, a youth coach, and is currently pursuing her master's in business administration. Welcome to the discussion, Obsie.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next up, we have Nathan Martin. He is a 3-time NAIA national champion. In 2013, he broke the NAIA marathon record. He was a runner-up at the 2019 US ATF 20K championships. And he also participated in the 2020 US Olympic Trials Marathon after qualifying with a 2-hour, 14-minute, 33-second finish at CIM. He is a substitute teacher and a coach. Welcome to the discussion, Nathan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Habib is the reigning 2019 champion of the race half marathon. He's something of a local legend here in the Metro Atlanta region. Habib is a staffing performance manager at Pro Logistics. He's won countless local races. He's a member of the Atlanta Muslim Running Club, and he's my friend and training partner. Welcome to the discussion, Habib.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. So I know a little bit about each of you, and I know enough to know that all of you have somewhat of a unique origin story. So let's start today's conversation by sharing with us how and when you first discovered your love for running. That first question is for Obsie.
Okay. So I was, like you mentioned, I'm Ethiopian born. So I was really born into the running culture. We have, as everybody knows, that's one of the things about the culture that people notice is there are phenomenal runners. So growing up when I was very young, I was really inspired by all the Olympians. We have huge parades for them when they come home from the Olympics. So it's like our NFL. Running is the major sport in Ethiopia. And then I moved here at the age of 12 to Des Moines, Iowa, and my PE teacher suggested, hey, you should go out for cross country. So that's when I went out for cross country, and I knew I loved running because I used to wake up at like 6 a.m. as a middle schooler and go for a run before school. I thought that was fun, but none of my peers thought that was fun. So I knew I was a little bit odd when I discovered that. So that's when I kind of discovered I had the love for it, and I also, got a lot out of it.
Well, I think that middle school teacher had it right. That was a good call. All right. Nathan, same question for you.
Yeah. So probably when I first kind of discovered running was when I started middle school in 6th grade. We had this event in gym class called the mile and a third. So you'd run it for time. And the first time I was like, hey, I'm going to try and do my best. I'm going to beat who I can beat out. And I didn't do good at all the first time. I think I was like 20 or 30th in the gym class. But next year, I don't know if it's because I just wanted it more or my body just became better. I was either first or second. And at that point, people were like, hey, you know what? You should do cross country. And I was thinking to myself, no, I don't want to do that. That just sounds like something super hard and just not worth my time. But enough people said it. And by 8th grade, got into my first cross country race. Was first for our team, and at that point I was like, yeah, you know what, I guess I'm not half bad at this. I continued on. So
That's an awesome story, man. Thanks for sharing. Habib, same question for you.
Well, with my situation is a little different. I never liked running because I grew up playing soccer. since my time in Nigeria. I moved here fairly 2010. So I was a 20-year-old something when I moved to the United States. So I couldn't play soccer as much anymore because there wasn't that many people to play soccer with. So I'll go outside for a little run here and there. And I met a few people, and I ran my first race. And I was actually, forced to run that first race because a lot of people in the Instagram social media community wanted to run. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It's just 13.1 mile, and I joined them, and it was terrible. I was in so much pain, and I got lapped by little kids. And from there, I just kind of like, you know what, maybe I can be better. And then I started, training, going online, picking different kind of things online, started using stuff. And after a while, and I mean, I can say honestly that I just developed my love for running, fairly recently. When I started doing good, let me put it that way. Before that, it was just like I'm trying to be better than what I was. The training sucked, but now I'm looking forward to my training my training schedule rather than before having it suck. I would say just for the fact that I'm doing better, that I can see the improvement. That's something I would say that how my love for running actually start to manifest. And I'll say fairly probably like 2, 3 years ago. That's when I started to feel like I love running.
Yeah, it's such a common theme. So many runners started out playing soccer and sort of made the transition later on. It's like the feeder sport for cross
Absolutely,
country and distance
absolutely,
running.
absolutely.
All right, thanks for sharing that, guys. So our second question. Um, so for at least two of you, you participated in the Olympic trials earlier this year. And I was out there, I'm a board member of the Atlanta Track Club. So I was out there and just sort of really in the middle of all the excitement. And it seemed like everyone was so excited about what 2020 was going to bring. The energy was up. And then at that point, I'm sure no one could anticipate the COVID-19 pandemic and all that would come after that. So given all the changes that we've been faced with, given this COVID-19 pandemic, can you explain how it has affected your life and whether or not you've been able to maintain your motivation and or fitness level? That first question is going to be for you, Nathan.
Yeah, so just kind of going off of running, just with things shutting down, things not being as open as they were, it actually honestly was a big help to running. Just because there wasn't as many distractions, you're able to kind of focus on the things that are important to you. It definitely, at least for me, really helped my training. Just being able to focus on the things that I need to focus on was really good. Towards the end of it, body's getting a little bit tired, different things like that. But just overall, just ability to say, hey, you know what, this is what I need to do. I have time to do it was really good. So
That is an interesting take. I was talking with someone when I was running today. We were talking about how many world records are dropping during this period. And I wonder if it's because people are feeling the ability to have that extra focus, as you mentioned. Thanks for providing that information. Habib, same question for you. And again, just to recap, the question is, how has COVID-19 affected you? And given it, how have you been able to, or have you been able to maintain your fitness level and or motivation?
Yeah. Well, so for me, when the COVID situation happened, I wasn't actually running because I was sidelined for I had surgery early in the year and not running related. And even before that, last year, I was in an accident at work, a vehicle accident, and I'm pretty sure you're aware about that. And that kind of put me on the sideline. So from late last year, literally after the race last year. Because the accident happened in October. So after the race last year, I got into accident. So I was on the sideline until like right around like the spring time before the COVID happened, and then I had surgery again, and everything just kind of like compounded. So I never really felt the impact of COVID to my training because I wasn't actually training at all. But to what Nathan actually said, he was actually right. Because I get to stay home more. I wasn't working. I get to stay home a little bit more. Now, if it was the case that I was actually running, then I really do feel like it would be kind of like more of a motivation because I'll be less distracted. I got more time on my hands to train at home. But I just wasn't fortunate to be 100% to be able to take advantage of the COVID situation.
Understood. Just so you know, everyone here in Atlanta, we're cheering for you. We're ready for you to get back out there and start tearing up all these races.
Well, I'm coming back out there soon
Yes,
enough.
sir. All right, Obsie, same question for you.
Yeah, so you brought up the Olympic trials. So shout out to Atlanta and you guys. That was amazing. I was part of the Olympic trials in LA in 2016 as well. So I can definitely say Atlanta showed us a lot of love. So that was really awesome. Really, you guys, they did an amazing job. I just was blown away. Um, yeah, the COVID situation with running for me, I think it just kind of reiterated a lot of things. I've always known like running for me is a very internal thing because I'm out of the door by myself every single day. I don't really have a lot of running buddies here. It's just been a really good companion and friend. Like running has just been a great outlet from everything. And when everything shut down, I just was praying, please, please, let's just hope we can go outside and run because there's no gym, you know. So I think it was really healthy. However, I did extend myself a lot of grace. I didn't work out. I wasn't doing workouts. I was just running just to clear my mind and stay healthy. And so I've just enjoyed it to the max. I'm really lucky that I have a lot of soft surface around me here in Phoenix. So it's been really good.
That's awesome. I'm glad you've been having found a way to continue to keep running and stay fit during the process.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to this next question here. Given the success that each of you have experienced in the running community, I would imagine that you have access to platforms and audiences that the average Black runner may not be able to reach, that you may find yourself in rooms that the average Black runner may not be in. Given that, do you feel the tug to use this increased exposure to elevate or speak to the issues that affect the greater Black community at large? Habib, I'm going to give you that question first.
Um, well, I'm no, I'll say no. Reason being, I'm not one to argue with someone over, either online or even in person, in particular, about some certain issues that they may or may not understand. And I'll use an example of the police brutality, which is a big issue in the Black community at this time, in this point in history. And and like I was a police officer for 3 years. I recently just left the police department, um, you know, early this year. So I have a different kind of perspective because I lived through being a police officer and lived through the entire thing in Atlanta being a police officer. Um, and some of the things that they talk about are just false, And then some other things that they may be considered um, stereotype that does sometimes does click does apply to police officers in general, not necessarily white or Black, in general. And then you look at somebody else, and because a lot of people sometimes want to ask me, well, is that right what the officer did, or is that wrong? I can't necessarily tell you if that's right or wrong until I hear the totality of the circumstances of why he did what he did or what happened and what led to the stop or the probable cause and things like that. So when I'm in the running community, with people trying to want to talk about stuff like that, now if they do ask me because they know that I was a police officer, they want to ask me about stuff like that. Now I can tell them, respectfully, oh yeah, you know what, this is what I feel, this is what I think, but I wouldn't impose on anybody what I feel, my opinion about stuff, because of the fact everybody's entitled to their opinion, and people have some strong belief about what they believe in. And then when you start sharing those kind of things, I don't want them to take away from the love that of the running thing that we came here for, not for politics or or anything along that line. We all came together to a particular space to be able to run and have fun with running, share running plans. How can we can improve on our run journey or things like that. So when we start adding a little something into it, a little politics into it, a little religion into it, a little stuff into it, 9 times out of 10, there's some people that will take it with grace, and there's some other people that, may just blow it up in your face. So I don't really get into those kind of things. Now, if you ask me for my, humble opinion, I will share some of those things with you. but I wouldn't be the first person to bring it up and be like, oh yeah, this and that and the third. Now, if you want to do stuff for the Black community, I will support you. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to do stuff for the Black community, you bring it to me, I'll support you. Just like what Heather King did with the she wanted to make sure there was enough Black American Black African American population in the Publix marathon. I already signed up for a marathon that week or so. So I ran Snicker Marathon, but because of what she did, she wanted to have a lot of African American presence at the Publix marathon. I also ran the marathon. I never ran a marathon back to back, but I did run the marathon back to back just because I want to support the Black community, and so I will support the Black community in the best way I can. But if when it comes to discussion and things like that, I don't want to divide us by having a certain opinion that you may not agree with, and then you may be mad about.
Thank you, Habib. I appreciate your honesty, and thanks for sharing your perspective on that. Obsie, the same question for you, and I'll just recap it because I know it was a long lead in, but essentially as an elite athlete, to the extent that you find yourself in spaces where the average Black athlete may not, and on platforms that the average Black runner won't reach, do you feel the tug to highlight or lift issues that affect the Black running community at large?
Yeah, so I think this is really different for me and a little bit hard too. Just considering my background and growing up here only at the age of 12. But I feel like I'm very, like he mentioned, grace. I tend to extend people the grace if they have questions, or if somebody, sometimes people don't always have bad intentions. And people will say certain things, and I tend to listen to what they have to say, and then give my opinion if they're engaged in a conversation with me. But that's really the extent of it. But there are some things that are said in elite running platform, such as I believe some of them were brought up this year, which is good because it does need to be discussed, such as I think somebody tweeted, I don't remember the exact same thing, of like, people shouldn't go to this place to train, in that place to train. If you say that, for me personally, I see that as a personal attack when people say, oh, don't go to Ethiopia to train because people are doing doping there. You can't categorize an entire culture based on what one person did. Because the people there tend to be warm, they tend to be welcoming, they tend to be, it's more of a village style of living, and you don't know that, and you're calling out an entire culture. So in that sense, yes, I get really worked up about it. I tend to try to calm myself, but at the same time, I think it's really important to make sure people in our field and in our platform are aware of that. It does affect people, and you shouldn't categorize certain things, but that's basically the extent that is gone for me when it comes to the running, space.
Thank you, Obsie. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, please continue.
No, there are a lot of other things that, that have been getting talked about this year, which is very important. Those are issues that have existed for such a long time, and I think it's very important that they are being brought up to light outside of the running space as well.
Right. Well, thank you. And thank you for adding in that international sort of perspective as well. So thanks for contributing that to the conversation. Nathan, I'll give you an even shorter recap because I know you've heard it twice now. But again, to the extent that you're in spaces that perhaps other Black athletes aren't, do you feel the onus to elevate issues that affect the greater Black running community, or the greater Black community at large?
So I guess I'll start off by saying, anybody who has something to fight for, you, regardless to people's opinions, you need to fight for it if that's what you believe, right? My standpoint on basically anything is to make sure whatever my viewpoints are, whatever I'm thinking, that I'm a reflection of what I want people to achieve or what I want people to do. So I always have it come back to me and say, if I want people to act this way, then I have to show them how to act that way. Because you're never going to change somebody's opinion by telling them, hey, you're wrong, this is the right way to do it. So I just try and reflect what I can, impact the people I can connect to. And yeah, that's kind of my approach on it. So.
Thank you very much.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead, yes, absolutely.
I think it's really important, like Nathan mentioned, to be in those uncomfortable spaces. You know, for a lot of people, that has been something that I'm even learning about. You know, and I hope people don't attack me for this, but I am learning a lot about the African American culture, because I was raised in the African culture, and then, you know, in Des Moines, Iowa. So it's different for me too. So I'm really learning that too. And, you know, so just wanted to add that.
I think that's an important piece to add in, because as you mentioned, we are all carrying sort of different shades of our identity. You know, like Habib mentioned, he's Black, but he was also a police officer, and you're also Ethiopian. And so we all have these layers to ourselves, and it can be, I can appreciate the challenge to know like what part of yourself you're elevating or representing at any given time. But I will say that you all's presence alone, whether or not you intentionally are looking to elevate a larger group of people, just being there means a lot. As we mentioned to Peyton, also on the panel, you know, in a year where we had the largest number of women participating in the trials, it was something north of 400. She was the only Black woman born in America in the entire field, which just shows the representation there. We're going to change pace a little bit. I think we've all had to find ways to cope with this new normal in this COVID environment. During the past 6 months, have you learned anything new about yourself? Any new hobbies or new interests, or anything that you learned that you didn't know before this period of quarantine? I'm going to pass this question to you, Obsie.
Oh, me first. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm spreading the love. I'm just moving it around.
Yeah, so I think it's been really interesting. Like you mentioned, you do learn a lot about yourself. I am still actually in isolation, meaning that I don't really have a lot of friends and family here. So I can't go home because my parents have been self-quarantined. So it's been, I've picked up mountain biking. So that was something new. I've biked before, but never really seriously. But now I can like go out on a bike for an hour. So that's fun. And then also one of the other things I discovered about myself is I cannot meditate like other people do. However, if I go on a walk, I'm really perfectly okay to meditate in nature. So somehow that works for me. So, and then also just learning to be okay with being alone. When you're social, sometimes, you know, you feel like you have to be doing things or being around people all the time. But yeah, just a few things.
Yeah, that's a few good things that you picked up. Thanks for sharing that with us. Nathan, I'm going to go to you next on this question. Again, have you learned anything new about yourself? Picked up any new hobbies, new interests during this quarantine period?
Oh gosh, no, I pretty much learned I'm a pretty boring guy, I guess. I don't think I've done really anything different hobby-wise. I will say I've learned how to cook steak, which has been pretty good, but other than that, about the same stuff. So,
All right. Well, cooking is a good skill to acquire. So, you know, any new meal you can add, that's a good thing.
true enough.
All right, Habib. What about you? Any new interests, new hobbies, or anything new you learned about yourself?
Yeah, actually. So I started streaming. I started streaming on Twitch. It was, I mean, I play video game, to kind of like a stress reliever kind of situation. And I picked up, someone told me to, stream or whatever, and I started streaming. And now, I mean, from one viewer, now I'm averaging, a lot more viewers, and having to, have people share similar interests and just have people vibing. It's kind of funny when you called me. I was actually doing a stream, and I was like, "Oh, yo, snap!" That's what I was like. Is it 5 o'clock already? And I was like, "Oh, snap!" So I told my viewers, "Oh, I got to get off because I have a call to get on." So just having that community outside, outside of other communities, is kind of like that's kind of like cool. And also, I learned about myself during this time. One thing I learned was what me personally, what I can take and I cannot take. Like I already said earlier, that I was in the police department, so there's this quarantine season, and with everything going on around in the world, I've had time to reflect. Because when I left the department in March, when I left, it was kind of like I took a sabbatical because I'm still certified in the state of Georgia to still police anywhere. So when I left, it was kind of like up in the air, like, oh, you're coming back. Because I told my chief of police I need a mental space from away from policing just to kind of like get my bearings together because of all the crap that we have to deal with. And so when the quarantine happened, and with the George Floyd situation, and then the Breonna Taylor situation, and then the Ahmaud Arbery situation, running in the street, so everything kind of like compounding and started making me think, is this what I really want to go back to after so long? And I thought about it, and you know, and it was very, very difficult. It was a difficult situation for me because I also lost somebody. I lost a very close friend of mine. We were working together in Candler Road. People that's in Atlanta know that, and he got shot on a traffic stop. And I wasn't able to do nothing, and I was there. So it sucks. And then looking at everything, you start thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your family, and things like that. So it made me ponder a lot, and I felt like, what, there's a lot more ways to help people rather than being of public service like a police officer. There's a better way to help people, and I was like, maybe going into the corporate world would be better. And then yeah, I took a position with Pro Logistics. Staff is a staffing agency, and I help people pretty much find jobs in positions in companies, and that whatever position that they want, as long as the position is open, I can always facilitate that happening. And I feel like me helping people that way kind of like takes the burden away from me thinking I have to be in on the street with a gun and a badge to help people. So the COVID situation really did help me owning on that thought process. Because I know, like, when you and I go on our, Darrell, when we go on our daily run, I always have these crazy stories, and you don't even want to listen. You don't even want to hear the stories no more. You're like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to hear that. Exactly. So, and imagine you don't want to hear one story, and I have to deal with multiple stories, day in, day out, dead people and stuff like that. But yes, so the COVID situation kind of like is a blessing in disguise, because it helped me, like, stay home and really think about what I really want for myself and my family. And I was able to, find love in Twitch, in streaming on Twitch, and also find love in, being okay switching profession, even though I've invested a lot of time into policing. So I think, I mean, so far so good. I love it. I love the switch. And it's an experience I wouldn't trade for the world. But I'm happy with the fact that I had a lot of time to reflect on where I'm going and where I'm at.
Yeah, you certainly had a lot happen during this period. My condolences for your loss, and I'm glad that you have had the space to get where you need to be both mentally and physically safe. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So last question for you all. We are now, what is today? The end of September. We're almost in October. So we are 2 months away from the end of the year. And for me, I'm very happy about that. I'm done with 2020. Done with 2020. So as we look forward to 2021, I'm curious whether or not any of you have started making plans for the new year. Are you already starting to look at the 2021 calendar and think about races or things you want to do or anything like that? So that is going to be my next question. Nathan, we're going to start out with you on that one. Have you started looking to 2021 and making any plans?
Yeah. So my coach is big into making sure that we just find any opportunities we can. Obviously, with 2020, most of the opportunities were not there. So we're definitely hoping that we can get some races in. We're looking at the Houston Half Marathon as a potential. Fingers crossed for it to go off and everything. But that would be the next big step. If it was looking like that was an option, then maybe even the CIM marathon would be a potential race, which technically is still in 2020. But yeah, we're definitely looking for stuff and yeah, hoping for a bright future. So we'll see how it goes.
I may be following you, Nathan. I didn't realize, is Houston still, as of now, going to be a live in-person race?
I haven't. So we haven't heard that it's not yet. They might have canceled it. It might cancel soon. But my coach has been in contact with the race director, just kind of trying to get me into the race. So
Interesting. Okay. Habib, same question for you. Are you looking at 2020? And if so, do you have any plans?
Um, One thing that I want to thank Nathan for is or I also want to thank y'all for is during the thing for the Olympics, y'all had them come out. And I wanted to, I do my homework, and I always want to talk about black community and black people. And I looked him up. I looked Nathan up, and I was, so seeing him, out there kind of inspired me. And I was like, dang, if he can do it, dang, he's a play, he's a brother. I can do it too, So and it kind of motivated me a lot. Then I started thinking about a lot of things, and my next goal was, was I want to qualify for Olympic trials. That was my next goal. After that, I was like, you know what? I want to be close. I want to be standing in the same spot as my brother, right there. And that kind of like, set something in, set a fire in me. And at that point in time, I was like, I'm gonna get with I'm gonna get a coach, and for the next 4 years or from now to the next Olympic trials, I need to do what I need to do to get that Olympic, trial times and things like that. So I don't have anything for next year, but I do have, my goals set on qualifying for the Olympic trials. Now, do I want to qualify for the Olympics? I don't really give a crap about that, honestly. I just want to, I just want to be able to stand beside, my fellow brothers up there and be like, you know what, I'm here too. Let's have fun. But yeah, so that's why I want to thank Nathan for that, because when they were up there, and the funny thing for me was I was like, these people look like regular people. I'm like, I mean, they don't have two heads, yeah, like come on, man, they don't have three legs, so I was surprised, and they were really, really humble. When he was talking that day, they were really humble, and I'm like, golly, man, if I can find that fast, man, I'll be talking so much smack. But yeah, it was pretty fun seeing him up there. Yeah, so he kind of motivated me. But yeah, my next goal would be to qualify for the Olympic trials. And anything that gets me closer to it is what I'll do. Obviously, I'll support every running nerds race. I'll be there as a time trial, whatever. And even last year, it was a time trial. I didn't train for the race. I just came, and I didn't even know it was gonna be good. So it was fun. But yeah, Olympic trial. So Mr. Nathan, I'm probably gonna eat your dust, but I'll be out there with you at some point, in the future, hopefully. Fingers
no
crossed.
worries, good sir. No, that's awesome to hear, and yeah, definitely glad that I'm inspiring at least one person. So
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
More than one, Nathan. I assure you. You can certainly add me as well. So you got two and more. Obviously raised their hand too. See, and that's the piece that we were talking about. Like, even if you don't, when you're in these places, even if you're not like going out of your way to elevate issues, just being there. That was part of the reason why with the race, we wanted to host as many Black and brown athletes as we could, just because, as Habib mentioned, so many of us, when we see you on the television, it's like some like mythical thing. But to be able to just meet you all in real life, and you realize, wait, these are just regular people that obviously have committed themselves and worked really, really hard in order to achieve what you achieve. And that part is inspirational, because everyone can look at themselves and say, well, man, if I work really hard, I may not be quite as fast as Nathan or Obsie or Alafine or whoever, but I can be whatever that means for me. Like, I can reach the most out of what my body will give me. So again, thank you to all of you, because all six of you inspire me. So thank you. And same question for you, Obsie, again, and that question is just, have you started thinking about 2021 and making any plans yet?
Yes and no. So yeah, when like I have goals that I would like to achieve. definitely just looking at that 230. I just really want to be under it really bad. So that's a big goal into 2021. But I don't really have races that I've picked out because I just kind of want to wait. I don't want to like be let down. So trying to stay positive that they will happen. If CIM happens, I will definitely be one of the first to say I want to come back. So hopefully they'll have me. And then just drawing inspirations from places that you typically wouldn't think of. Like, friend of mine just did Boston virtually last weekend, where I helped pace like 20 miles of it. And it was just really inspiring to see people like that, like just everyday, ordinary people just like myself who are just so committed getting to their goal even throughout this time, but also just looking ahead for next year and just getting better every day. So I'm really excited to just be able to hug my friends at the finish line. Hopefully hugging is okay by then.
Yes.
To see my family. So there is so much to be excited for. And I know I sound extreme, but I really just want to make sure my family's safe. So I'm staying away from them. Most of my issues with the COVID is not really about me. I'm not worried about me. I'm sure I'm perfectly fine, but it's just like, you don't know if you're a carrier. So I'm trying to protect the people around me. So yeah, hopefully 2021, we can all hug.
Yes. Yes. When I went running today, it was such an awkward thing this was the first time I've run with another person. It's another person that Habib and I trained with. And so when I saw him, like, I just stopped because I'm like, I can't give him a handshake. It was just weird. It was just like, hi. So it was weird. So I understand just wanting to be able to touch people again. So those are all of the scripted questions that I have for you. However, I do want to leave a little bit of space in case there's something you just wanted to say, something you wanted to share, and you didn't get a chance to in the flow of the questions that I have asked you. Let's see. I think I started with Nathan last, so we'll move to Habib. I'll give you the floor on this one first. Anything that I didn't ask you and you just maybe perhaps want to share?
No, not necessarily, but I guess the only thing I would just say is since I've been fanboy moment with Mr. Nathan, I probably just hey, if you got one of those like cheat code secret plan that you can just use and boom, you'd be like a super fast runner, throw it my way, yeah, I try a lot of stuff out, let's go. Darrell knows this too. Like I'm not a traditional like runner. I never grew up running, high school. I mean, I run for soccer, but I never grew up traditionally running. And like the first thing I used was I believe the Hanson's marathon method, and it worked for a little while. And then Mr. Darrell, introduced me to the advanced marathoning, and I had a great success with the book just because I believe maybe with the more mileage situation. But then I'm kind of like just winging a lot of things out. So, but I'm always open to, tips and tricks and things like that. But besides that, I appreciate being here with this, Black legends in our community. I'm a local runner. You guys are like, top notch folks. So being here with you guys is just kind of like something I'm grateful for. I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind it though. I mean, it makes me look good, So hey, but yeah, I appreciate being here with you guys. Mr. Nathan, Miss Obsie, I appreciate the being here again. Daryl, appreciate you having me on. So my only thing is just being grateful for being here with these folks, knowing that they run stupid times and the stupid fast times that I can only imagine. In
Obviously, anything that I didn't ask you or you didn't get a chance to say that you would like just to take a moment to share?
Well, I don't think so. But to elaborate on what he said, hey, we all suffer the same way, okay? It hurts. So
Nah, man, you guys suffer differently. I promise.
running is how it connects people. Like if I didn't come to Atlanta, I would have never met you two. I've known of Nathan. He's somewhat of a legend in the NAIA, so you know. So and as NAIA kids gotta stick together. But no, it's really, that's what I love about it. Just having people across the world that I wouldn't meet, or places I wouldn't go if I wasn't a runner. And that doesn't have anything to do with time for me. I'm the type of person, if I see you warming up and you run a 4-hour marathon, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask you to go on a run with me. I'll go your pace though.
I don't think anyone would say no. Run with me? Let's do it.
Or people are like, are you trying to kill me the day before the race? Like, no, I just want to buddy. So.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Nathan, same question. Anything I haven't asked you and you just want an opportunity to say or share?
So yeah, I guess. So, and Habib kind of touched on it a little bit. Obviously, you know, whoever's listening to this, if you're like, hey, can we get to those guys' level? It starts with first believing that you can, right? You don't know what you can achieve until you go out and achieve it. And, you know, all of us are definitely happy that we can represent the Black community and represent what's possible. But more importantly than that, you have to believe it for yourselves and find a way to get to the levels that you want to get to. So yeah, just hoping that we're doing a good job. And yeah, it's been an awesome process, and we'll see how far it goes. But definitely whoever we can inspire, hopefully you're listening to this and ready to do what you can. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. And again, I'll say it for the umpteenth time, all of you inspire me. I'm humbled to even be just a moderator in this type of discussion, to be able to share even virtual space with you all. So thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for your contribution to the race, just your presence, speaking on this platform. You all are amazing athletes. And I just wish you well throughout the rest of this year and going into 2021. Thank you again.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right, you're welcome.
Been great.